Begin transmission. It is Chris, aka Star Raptor, back for Outer Rim Transmission. It's episode 190, getting ever closer to that elusive episode 200. I'm joined by the full crew. Milton and Ben are back. I was holding the fort down last week. Hopefully, I wasn't boring our audiences enough with talk of cards and, things are flying so fast by with Star Wars these days that I kind of forgot what I talked about last week. But that's not a big surprise because things are going at a fast clip around here. But how you guys doing? What's going on with you, Milton?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. No, I'm good, man. Right now it's been a hell of a time with like work and planning a wedding. So other than that, though, I'm good. Things are just starting to shape up with this whole adulting thing. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to talk some Star Wars. I actually have a pretty like cute wedding week in Star Wars that I'll share once we get to that point.
Heck yeah! What about you, Ben? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been hectic for me as well. Just been busy. I mean, for our listeners, I'm getting a house, so I'll be moving there sometime this summer, and I've just been doing a lot of packing. Packed up all my fall and winter clothing. I sent you guys a picture in our group chat of like a big 50-gallon garbage bag full of junk. So it's just it's a process packing up a bunch of things. So just chipping away at that, and it's fun. It's exciting times, and eventually within a couple months, you guys will see a new location in the background of my shot on here.
Woohoo! It's going to be really fun when you get to planning out how the background's going to look, what things might you hide in the background for guests and watchers to see. But yeah, I'll cycle on back to Milton. So let's hear it. What is this weddings, maybe Star Wars coordinated thing you're mentioning here?
Yeah. So I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but I was just looking at some stuff the other night, and I think I'm a creative guy for the most part. You guys know that I've written like my own personal opening crawls for the sequel trilogy. If I was in charge of that, and we've talked about that in previous like years of doing the episode or the podcast. So I stumbled across this Star Wars crawl thing where I can make one for myself, and so the one night I told my fiance, I said, "Hey, I should just like make us an open and crawl for our wedding. Like, wouldn't that be kind of cool?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So like one night, and like I'm laying in bed, it took me like maybe 20 minutes, but I wrote like an open and crawl, right? And I put it in like this little like website, and it like actually made an open and crawl, and I sent it to her, and she like loved it. She's like, "It's so cute, it's perfect." Like I wrote it in like 15 minutes, and I have to send it to you guys because I have it still saved like in my phone. But she then said, she's like, "We should have our DJ like display this, at our wedding, like that, like kind of showed off. What do you think?" I said that'd be kind of cool. I'd have to retweak some of the wording, but I said like I can make it work with what I created. It's pretty impressive. So I think I might consider doing it.
Oh my gosh, that would be epic.
Yeah,
epic.
I can read it to you right now and tell exactly what I wrote. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So you know how like a galaxy, how the original like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So I said this summer in a galaxy far, far away, and then like that actually pops up like it would in a movie. And then I said for like the title, I said for Star Wars, I said Amanda and Milton, and then I said episode 2025, and then the title of the marriage is called A New Journey Begins.
Oh.
And then so I go into it saying like it is a time for celebration across the galaxy as Amanda and Milton begin the rest of their lives together. Their spark awakened in 2021. After years of dating, vacations, driving each other crazy, and meeting each other's family, it was inevitable that Amanda and Milton's love was destined, powerful, and undeniable. Many skeptics had doubts that this union would not be successful, but little did they know Amanda and Milton found a new hope in each other. Their moment of love takes its next steps towards forever on June 28th, 2025, when surrounded by their parents, closest friends, and family. Milton and Amanda vow to strike back the noise and join each other in a world of marriage forever. Could you imagine seeing that on like an opening crawl?
Dude, I gotta give you a
Good-
round of
good
applause
stuff,
for
man.
that. That's some really great, really just great wordsmithing there with using those
Yeah.
phrases. Strikes back, spark, new hope.
Yep.
Obviously, like all these little things, like even the
Wake-
episode 2025, like that's like really good
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you guys after we're done. But I was like, okay, like, and I took inspiration from obviously from the movies, but it's like, you know what, like, what would make sense with like the titles? You know, like how can I use titles?
Wow.
So I was like, okay, and then I was able to like kind of wiggle in like, you know, Strikes Back and Awakens, and
Yep.
you know that okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be able to animate that into like the movies, like how it goes forward, or
Yes, no. So again, I'll send it to you. Like it's the program makes it for you.
Oh, that's cool.
Like
That's perfect.
I legit have watched it on my phone, and she's watched it on her phone as if we were watching an actual like Star Wars opening crawl movie.
Oh my gosh, you gotta get. Yeah, you gotta come out to that. Like plan something so like that's the beginning. Somewhere in the beginning, you're walking out to that, and like it starts to fade out, and then you guys walk out or something.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. Like, if we can get the DJ, and again, I have to like probably reword some of it, maybe tweak it here or there. But if I can somehow get the DJ to display it like on like a wall or something, like it, I mean, that'd be pretty impressive. But we'll have to see.
My gosh,
No.
this is a quite a moment on episode 190 on the podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would go this way ever with the podcast, getting to hear an opening crawl for somebody's wedding. So here we go. I feel like this is going to be cemented in the lineage of this podcast. We were able to hear somebody write about this wedding introduction. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would listen, and it's funny because like my fiance isn't. She isn't a nerd like I am when it comes to like pop culture and superheroes and stuff like that and wrestling, but she appreciates like, you know, I think she likes Star Wars. Like when we watch it, she is familiar with most of the like major movies. Some of the characters she's really familiar with, and when she watches the movies, I know she's into them. But for someone who's not a nerd, she really liked this particular opening crawl. She's like, oh, it was perfect. Like it's perfect for us. And I was like, oh, she appreciates that side of me, which is like, okay, like that tells you something right there.
Yeah. There we go. So looking forward ever closer to the, what are we at? Like, well, a little under 3 months now from today,
like,
you know?
3.5 months. I mean, you know, literally today we were working on booking a bartender. So, I mean, we're still working on getting things squared away.
Well, it'll be well worth it. And we look forward to hearing more about these preparations in the ongoing months as we lead up to it. So very cool.
Right. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I can't. I can't really follow up anything good.
well, Chris, you know what? We'll either you or me, whenever either of us get engaged, we'll have to take Milton's approach, and we'll have to pay homage to Rise of Skywalker. Somehow, Chris got a fiance.
Yeah, how about saying, Chris? Yeah, you're going to be next. So let's stop later.
Oh man, well, yeah, that's hard to segue out of something cool like that. But I mean, for me, all I was doing was,
you know what's funny though, Chris? Honestly, that reminds me because the other day, I was on Facebook and Amanda was with me, and I was like, you want to see Chris and his fiance? They did a cosplay at the Philadelphia Comic-Con last time. I think we saw you guys do that. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is Chris and his... You wore, like, the Boba Fett helmet, I think, to that one.
Yeah.
Chris likes to cosplay because we were talking about Steel City. And someone asked if we were going to do a cosplay, and I was like, no, probably not. But she'll probably wear, like, a shirt. And I said, why? I'm like, I'm pretty sure Chris and his girlfriend, like, cosplay when they go to stuff like that. And I showed her pictures.
Yeah, give some inspiration there. Give some inspiration.
Yeah.
Let some of our nerdiness rub off on her, maybe. She'll attempt. But that's pretty close, man. I mean, you said it's like the first week of April, right?
Yes, it's April 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we're going to go on April 4th, which is a Friday, spend all day at Steel City Comic-Con, and then hang out in Pittsburgh all day Saturday.
Heck yeah. And Hayden Christensen is also going to be at Japan. So he's going to be doing the same thing I am. He's going to be going from this area, flying all the way over to the other side of the world right after Steel City Comic-Con. So that guy's going to be busy.
My hope is to like run into him at like like downtown Pittsburgh or some hotel, just be like, oh my God, like I don't have to pay to see you. What's up? Like I might be like the biggest like hardcore fan to him if I ever saw him in person like that. Listen,
Yeah.
I mean, and Kate Jackoff's going to be there too, so it'd be nice to see her as well.
Oh, do they have like a panel list on the website?
I have to look at the website because I know when I last looked, the panel sites weren't, or the panel list wasn't up. But I'm pretty sure he has a panel. I think that was in like his VIP section.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to look up when we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a Star Wars Friends panel or something. If they already have a couple Star Wars actors there, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that.
Yeah, and that'd be kind of cool. Like if it was like, $50 to sit in on it, sure, I'd pay the money and be like, all right, let's do it,
Yeah.
I like, when am I ever going to do this again? So I definitely will pay for something like that.
Mm-hmm. You got to be optimistic. You got to say, don't say that. We just gotta do the prayer circle and say Celebration's gonna be in Philadelphia or it's gonna be in New York next year. That's what we gotta start saying.
You're right, because like I never thought I'd go to WrestleMania, and oh my God, it was in our backyard. So
Yep.
yeah, actually, okay, so I can tell you who's going to be there, like Star Wars people: Hayden Christensen, Ron Howard,
Ooh.
Katie Sackhoff.
Ron Howard at a convention. That might be the first time.
He's going to be there. Those are only the Star Wars people that I see that are connected, but there's a lot of heavy hitters going to be at this Comic-Con. So I'm just very curious to see what the panels are going to be if they actually would show them on the site. I don't see them on here.
Yeah, well, there's still some time. Not much time.
Yeah. right. Yeah, literally like 2 weeks away. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So over to you, Ben. Do you have anything Star Wars this week to chat about? I know we have another topic we're going to talk about that you have more information about, but I know you've been really busy. Have you been packing up any Star Wars things that you might have come across going, hey, I forgot I had this thing or something? That'll happen when you're moving stuff.
Yeah, well, actually, while packing, I started the Kenobi Legends book this week, and that's been so good. And I'll talk about that in further detail in another episode once I finish it. But I just wanted to throw out a few little Easter eggs that have popped up. This is the book that solidified that behind the scenes when Obi-Wan and Satine were alone, she would call him Ben and stuff, and like gave him that nickname back then when they were on Mandalore and things. So. That little Easter eggs in this book, and that's where that got established. And then you also have Obi-Wan. So they actually put a geographic. It gives you an idea of how far away he actually was from the Lars farm. So it kind of like gives us an idea of the layout of the areas. So Obi-Wan set up his homestead basically just south. Like he literally when he's like trying to talk to Qui-Gon, he talks about setting up his home place just south of where they landed the ship during Phantom Menace, out in the outskirts. And that location though is approximately 100 kilometers away from the Lars farm, which is about 60 miles. So like basically Obi-Wan like acknowledges to Qui-Gon even like, I know it's far away. If the boy's like in immediate danger, I won't be able to like basically save him right away, but the Lars family wants me to be as far away as possible, but within still like, via speeder bike, 62 miles is probably fast. But they want me to be far away just so we're not drawing any attention because, if you think about it, this book is taking place approximately because they've, based on events and things that have happened in this book, basically this book is taking place, like, it's about 8 years after Attack of the Clones. So, so basically this book is like 3 or 4 years right after Revenge of the Sith. So, like, the Lars family plus Obi-Wan, are still antsy on, they don't want to draw any attention to the Lars family. So, like, Owen and Beru basically said, stay away, like, unless it's, like, something life or death dire, like, we call you and like, I don't know, Luke's kidnapped or something, something like that. So that kind of puts like a geographic location of where he's at. It's about, 60-ish miles away from the Lars homestead, which, like I said, by speeder bike, it's probably only not long, but but still, it's interesting putting that in perspective when we have like, real world, real world distances. You think 60 miles and you're like, holy smokes. But like in Star Wars, it's not like too far. So it's like, it's just interesting hearing it laid out that way. But those are some of the Easter eggs that have popped up that have been like connected to the prequels, which have been pretty cool. So that's kind of been my week in Star Wars. And then, I'll talk about the Kenobi book in a future podcast when we have more time.
It's funny you mentioned that, Ben, because the author, I don't know why all I'm remembering is his name on Twitter is Jim Farway. I don't know why I had a memory blank, but this is what happens when we podcast. The same author also wrote a recent book, and he had put a map in there as well. So I think that's just, I love it though, because like as somebody that's read Game of Thrones books, Lord of the Rings, like there's a very always much have those detailed maps, and it helps me just imagine and get into the story just a little bit more. So I appreciate him adding that in there.
I thought that was a really cool little wrinkle. And then even it's neat because like the locals that Obi-Wan's interacting with, they've heard of stories of like the Lars family of Klieg Lars and them, because they were, these local farmers are going out and they're dealing with Tuscans, and I'll get into that at another time. But they also referenced how like, years ago, like the Lars family, basically down the road here, they dealt with something similar, and like, Klieg lost like 25 people or whatever, and only 4 or 5 survived, yada, yada, yada. So like, there's like little nods to events that we know of.
Yeah, and his name is John Jackson Miller. There we go.
Oh, yep.
John Jackson Miller, legendary. He also wrote Knights of the Republic, like the 60-plus issue series of the comics.
I've read that book, the Obi-Wan Kenobi one. I mean, it's a long book. And
it's like 17 hours, I think.
And that the ending is really, really good. How they tie into how Vader or how Obi-Wan discovers like who he is at the end. Like it's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, it's been really good so far. So
like that book should have been the movie or the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. As I'm getting into it more and more, that's what I'm thinking, and I'll expand on that when I fully review it, probably like next week or the week after.
Yep. For me, more card stuff. So the new set came out last week for Star Wars Unlimited. Right before recording this, me and my girlfriend are going through our card binders and organizing cards, and probably will play a couple games after the stream tonight. So keep it short there because we have some more stuff to get to and a little bit tighter of a deadline. Thanks to me being late on the podcast this week, but we're going to do our best. So, as always, you can follow us on youtube.com/StarRaptor on the channel that you're watching right now. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live, and you can catch us after the fact, but you can also catch us on your audio streams, whatever podcast platform you listen to. Just search Outer Rim Transmission. This week, speaking of locations, Ben, there is an entire book that has just released called Star Wars Complete Locations, I believe from DK Publishing, if I'm not mistaken. They usually do those kind of books. Jason Fry, Emily Scukani, and a host of other writers have put together things, Milton, like those giant like double-page spreads of locations like Vader's Castle, Ferrix, a whole bunch of places with all those like little nitty-gritty details. Like, did you know at Vader's Castle, the royal starship of Padme Amidala was parked on the bottom area of the tower, which was configured to try to resuscitate Padme or resurrect. Like, it's one of those books. I have a couple from like back in the day, like Attack of the Clones. So I love those books. So eventually, maybe I'll have to pick this thing up. But I've really loved diving into lore books like that.
What's the book called again?
Okay, it's called Star Wars Complete Locations. I know they've done a couple of these. This is just like the latest edition, I guess.
I'm looking it up on Amazon right now. I don't think I've heard of that before.
Oh,
Star Wars Complete Location. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, there's some really amazing artwork in
yeah, this is how much? This is only like $40. Shit, I might as well buy this.
See, that's not bad actually.
This is not bad at all. Oh, okay. I think I've seen books like this. Cause like I've seen, remember how like they break down like each movie like this, and they show like like Luke's lightsaber
Yep.
or whatever. Okay, this is very familiar, but I've never seen this book before. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, this just came out this week, so hot off
Oh,
the
that's awesome.
presses. Hot off the presses.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, this is kind of nice. I mean, I like these books because I actually
Yeah.
have a whole bunch. I have oh my god, they're like for each movie they broke them down like that.
Yeah, you had the
Yeah.
visual dictionaries. I was also collecting them
Yeah.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, because I have episode 1, I have Revenge of the Sith. I need episode 2. I don't have that one. But yeah, and I have like all the other ones too.
Heck yeah. So there's something new for you guys out there to check out. We also have Legacy of Vader #2. Me and Joel and Matthew over on Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, we broke down this issue. I laughed because we literally spent about an hour and a half on the 22-page comic. So I guess that can give you a hint that there's a lot to break down in this one and not enough for me to talk about here. So you go over to that YouTube channel. And I also have my little mini review on the channel right now about my first reaction to reading that one. But there's some really good stuff about the history of Vader and Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine, with Kylo Ren going there in between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and trying to figure out like more about like the planet that his whole family basically spawned from. So really good introspective stuff on Kylo and some great action. So there you have it. Getting into our show proper. Milton's not going to want to hear this one. Milton's not going to be happy about this, but video games are back in the news, and unfortunately, not in a good way. We have gotten the unfortunate news from Zynga that they are shutting down Star Wars Hunters mobile game. If you remember, this thing just came out like earlier last year, finally, to like the other platforms in the US and other places. They had said they're going to be bringing the last season with the last new character next month, and then sunsetting or closing down the game. I think they said on October 1st or October. So there's been a lot of turbulence with this game from the get-go. First of all, they announced it, and it wasn't announced on regular consoles. It was just the Nintendo Switch and mobile. And then they took forever to get the game out. Because I remember I played this game on a phone at a booth at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which was in 2022. And then it took another 2 years for that game to actually come out, but it was available in like 3 or 4 countries as playtesting. So there's a lot of problems that plague this game. I don't know if you guys have tried it out. I mean, you could still play it if you want, but it is shutting down. But I'll throw it over to Milton. What's your reaction to this game getting shut down? I don't know if you care at all about this game or if you have any thoughts.
I didn't even play it. Like, I mean, I knew we talked about it. I never played it. But this reminds me of the first mobile game that they created in 2015. Remember that one? It was supposed to be like tied into the movies. I forget what it was called.
Star Wars Uprising. Yeah.
Yes, Uprising. It reminds me of that game and how like they hyped that up so much, and how it was going to be a great game and we were going to really like it and all is good. And all of a sudden, like within, I want to say like 6 months, like it was just kind of like done. Like no one talked about it. I know they want to canceling it, but it's like why? I never understood it about Disney when they took over. Their game division has not had a great track record. Like at this point, you would think ever since Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, like they've been hits. Like those 2 games are great, and I want to say another game has been Rogue Squadrons was solid. I think. Yeah,
Squadrons. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, like those 3 games are really good, and obviously I still play the one mobile game that they have, but they really haven't had a great track record, and I just wish that they would adopt some of their old model of game making in the sense of like great storytelling. Keep it simple. Don't overdo it. Like give fans what they want when it comes to Star Wars. Don't try to outthink yourselves and just making a game. And I felt like with these mobile games and some of the other failures, they try to overdo it when they got in their own way. And it's just like, come on, like keep it simple. Again, Bill Belichick way. Just do your job. Keep it simple. Like the more simple you keep it, the more we'll enjoy the game. So honestly, I'm not surprised, and I didn't really care about this game, but it's disappointing because I'm sure there's fans who wanted the game to be successful, and I wish I wish there was not another blemish on the game department when it comes to Disney Star Wars. Unfortunately, this really makes me want to wish that LucasArts was still around. And I don't want to always think backwards and say, oh, I wish we had the old school way of doing it. But literally just yesterday, I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at this place called Decades, where it's like an adult like bar, restaurant, and game place. And I was playing Star Wars the arcade.
Whoa.
Where you know what I'm talking about? Where you got the joysticks,
yeah.
You know, and I beat that game.
That was
right
fire.
there. So good. And it's like that game was so simple. It made you feel like you're in the world, and it wasn't over the top where where it was complicated. And again, it's a LucasArts, you know, baby. And it's like, my God, like, this makes you want to bring that department back, unfortunately. And this tells you, in my opinion, that was one of the greatest travesties of the merger, was getting rid of that department, because the gaming has not been great. Has not been consistently great.
Oh yeah. I completely agree with you. It's just like, unfortunately, the video games have gotten to a point where it's like, unless it's a bona fide good news headline, if I see headlines about Star Wars video games, I think, well, this is going to be another cancellation before I even read it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I try to be optimistic with Star Wars, of course, because I love gaming, but it's just like, man, one after another after another. And like I messaged in our group chat this week, I think that, I mean, at this point, I mean, heck, like you said, Milton, if they want to do, how about this? Here's my pitch to Star Wars, if you're listening. How about let's bring back the branding of LucasArts, and then just let the people that handle the Jedi series just oversee all the games, because, like, at this point, they're the only part of the branch of Star Wars that's really, you know, consistently put out a good product, good story, good gameplay, good visuals, good little Easter eggs, good, you know, they found such a good balance with gaming. It's like, you might as well let those people that are on the Jedi series handle, just manage all the gaming at this point, because it just feels like everything keeps falling through the cracks. Look, I mean, even with you, Chris, I messaged in our chat, I was like, what was that one game that got canceled? Oh yeah, Eclipse. There was another one, and it's just like,
there's another one
after another, and it's like, it's like, man, I just
still
hope the cycle gets fixed. Yeah, supposedly it's still upcoming, supposedly.
And supposedly we also, sorry to interject, but we also got an update this week on the KOTOR Knights of the Republic remake, and apparently that's still being worked on.
And that, you know what, I'm glad you brought that up, because I know that's one game I was like, okay, like, if they bring that back, I'm hyped, I'm going to buy it, you know. And obviously, guys, I bought a PlayStation 5 because I wanted to play, obviously, the Maddens and the NCAAs and the Spider-Mans, but also Star Wars. You know, again, we all know I just started playing, you know, Jedi Survivor or no, Fallen Order. So, like that game so far is impressive. Like, that's the type of game that I really interact with well. And it's like, keep it on that. Like, I think they have the blueprint on how to make a special game, to how to make something great. And I think they go out of their way. Instead of building it up, they will go out their way to mess it up sometimes. And it's like, no, man, like, you really are alienating your gaming fan base when you're not consistently putting out bangers.
Yeah. So, Milton, I'm happy you're on this podcast tonight, because I know you have connection to the other game that you play. I don't know if you still play Galaxy Heroes, but I know you played a lot of time into it. So it's interesting. It's like, all right, that game is obviously super, super successful. I think it's raked in like over $2 billion in like microtransactions.
I play it at least every day, like an hour a day.
So
I think I've seen it gets 10 to 15 mil a month.
Oh my gosh.
That's what the figure was last year. Anyways.
That's why I'm scratching my head saying it's not like Star Wars can't like do a mobile game. They got like the great track record with that game. I'm constantly seeing advertisements for new characters being introduced and all that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, they did it right, and it's simple. Like, it's literally not complicated, and that's why I think I like it so much. And I was like, okay, because I've spent like, I probably want to say in a couple years I've had the game, I probably spent maybe $100 total, maybe. And it's like, because usually I can do a lot of it myself, and sometimes I'm like, okay, this is stuff I need to get like an extra whatever. But it's like, it's like microtransactions once every maybe like 4 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and it keeps you engaged enough where you're like, okay, I can come back to it tomorrow or in 2 days, and it's all good. Like, that's one consistent mobile game that I have consistently played because I like how it's laid out.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that is purely mobile now,
Yeah,
whereas Hunters was positioning itself to eventually be on multiple consoles. I mean, at one point in January, I was playing this on my computer where I'm at right now. Like they're actually going to put this on Steam, and then they took it off of Steam beta test, and they said, due to our feedback, we're postponing the launch on Steam that was supposed to happen in December. No, the testing was in December. It was supposed to be out on Steam in January. We hadn't heard anything, and now we get the news of the cancellation. It's like, oh crap! Like, I think just the rollout. I think they shot themselves in the foot because people were actually hyped with this game when it was announced, but then they quickly realized, oh, it's not coming out to Xbox. It's not coming out to PlayStation. It's like if they're already going to have it on Nintendo Switch, you open the door for it to be on other gaming console platforms, so why wouldn't you do that? And I think
right.
with doing that, they really screwed themselves over. Also, as somebody has played the game, great quality, like really good character designs, great level
Yes.
designs, great fun action. It's very good on the go because each map is like 2 minutes long, so it's a great concept. It's just the way that they also monetize the game is a little bit weird, where it's like, okay, you can't like play every character immediately, and certain characters you'd have to like get other characters first. You'd have to like they would have everything on a track. So let's just say like level 5 you unlock the Mon Calamari, level 6 you unlock the Droid Deka riding dude, but you'd have to get all the way up to like level 10 to unlock like another character. Like you couldn't choose them to unlock first. So it was a very weird way to monetize the game because then of course you could just buy them outright. But if you wanted to grind for them, it would take a long ass time. So it was kind of weird. Like they put out their seasons at a fast enough clip. Like every maybe 6 to 8 weeks there'd be a new character to play, and a new map to play. The maps were really good. Like the post-launch support was really good, but I think what happened was like it was too little, too late. Like there was too much time with this game being in the oven after it was already announced. They should have had this stuff done in the background and then announced the game and then had it out within 6 months, because by this point, without it being on PlayStation and Xbox, without it being in US territories while it was in other territories first, it kind of like got people to like lose its luster, and I just feel like not enough people jumped on. And if I'm not spending money on a Star Wars game, like I don't know who else would. So like I'm the demographic. I play like Overwatch and these kind of games. I never felt compelled enough to like spend much money. I might have spent $20 on a game, and that was
Right.
it, right? And that's probably just a small subset of the players out there. But yeah, it's just weird, you know. And it's a shame, you know, because like we have not had success in this realm of Star Wars games, in the realm of like multiplayer skins and stuff. Like you look at Fortnite,
Right.
you look at Overwatch, you look at Apex, Call of Duty. Like, why can't there be a Star Wars version of that now? And I know a lot of
Right.
people, every time there's a new Star Wars game news, you look at the comments, everybody's shouting from the rooftops, Battlefront 3, when are you making Battlefront 3? When are you making
Yep.
Battlefront 3?
Yep.
If
Yep.
Battlefront 2 was still going, they would be raking in the cash because they could have
Yeah.
just banked on every Disney Plus release after Rise of Skywalker, every new show, have a new character introduced, have a new planet from that show introduced, new map. Like I
Right.
just don't understand
Right. And
what they're doing, you know?
yeah, here's the thing though. They have two games that people want to make. You know, there's two games that, or two brands, actually three games. There's three games that if they announced them right now, that they said, okay, we're going to make these games because we know we pretty much messed up with the fans in the last 10 years. 1313, if they
Oh,
announced that they were going to actually make that, or say, hey, we're going to make this up to you. We're going to do 1313 how we know you guys wanted that. I'm all in. We're going to finish, you know, Battlefront 3 from the original like PlayStation 2 days,
Yep.
and then we're going to bring back, or we're going to finish up the Force Unleashed 3 and actually finish that story up. Like, because game 2 wasn't the greatest, but it was still solid. But the Force Unleashed 3, if they bring those three back, oh my god, like they're gonna win back fandoms, Star Wars fans when it comes to the video game realm. Because I'm one of them who would say, sign me up. I'd pay for them
Yep.
to, because those stories were amazing and the gameplay was way before its time, and those games were so intimate to the fans. It's like, oh my god, like I would love to see it. Honestly, I'm still waiting for them to do like to do like a video game for each trilogy, where it's like, you know how they do them for Lego. I want to see an actual, like, Star Wars original trilogy style game, like they do it with the Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor series. Give me a trilogy game like that. I want to see it. I want to be able to play with Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia and Chewie during the first original trilogy. Give me a prequel trilogy type game with, those characters. I'll play a sequel trilogy style game like that. Just give me something where it's expanding the world of Star Wars, where there's in story but side missions, kind of like the Arkham games. The Arkham games is the perfect roadmap to do, because those games are amazing. I've not heard anyone say Arkham games were trash.
Oh, they're so good. And then Rocksteady went and made Suicide Squad, which is like the biggest piece of crap.
Yeah, I heard that wasn't great. Anyone touch it. But like,
don't bother that.
Games, just give me a Star Wars original trilogy, and prequel style, Arkham style gameplay. I'd play it all day. Like, I'd be ready with Luke Skywalker. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
I'm being Farm Boy Luke.
Yeah. I was gonna make a real, just a little slight joke at that, but like, Milton, we already have that game. It's called Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. You can literally play all the movies.
Nope, I don't do Lego. Listen, I'll build the Legos. I'm not playing the video game version.
Well, they have the model right there in the Revenge of the Sith game.
Oh, right there. Oh, that's perfect. There we go. Like, I mean, and I still play that.
Yeah.
And in the most crazy, this is our last news story for the night before we have to head out. But in the crazy news, Ben and Milton, I didn't even mention this, but this is just a pop, boom, right there. The day of, literally several hours, how crazy Lucasfilm PR is. And it's not really their fault, because it's connected to something else I'll mention. Literally hours after we get the news of the cancellation of Hunters on Friday, we get the panel list for Star Wars Celebration, which, by the way, we're going to do an entire episode on Celebration previews, so don't worry, we'll come back in a couple weeks and we'll talk about all that. But since we are talking about video games, everybody was up in arms because on that schedule for Saturday, April 19th, on the Galaxy stage on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Japan time, there is a big panel for the next Star Wars game, guys. And they don't give us the title, but they say join Bit Reactor, and guess what? Guess what, Ben? Respawn Entertainment. For the unveiling of a brand new tactical turn-based Star Wars game. And that's the only information we get, but it's an entire hour-long panel. And like you were saying, like, oh yeah, like Respawn should just like partner with these games too. That's exactly what they did. You literally beat them to the punch. No, they've already been announced. They've been working together, but I think that's kind of funny how you literally just.
Yeah, I don't follow that, so I didn't know that until just now. So,
but
thinking alike.
But that should tell you something right there. When you have someone who we're not game makers, we're not part of the inside. It's like we got random fans who are like, listen, go with this plan. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of overthinking. That happens. So it's good they're doing that. I'm excited for that panel.
I'm extremely excited for this project. This is not going to be, unfortunately, a game for the mainstream. I feel like this game is going to be similar to like Squadrons, right? It's that really niche kind of game genre where it's like Squadrons, like not everybody likes a dogfight, and not everybody especially likes a dogfight in first person. This is kind of going to be like, I don't know if you guys, it's a kind of a hardcore game called XCOM, or what I used to play like last year called Marvel Midnight Suns, Final Fantasy Tactics, where it's like you move a guy strategically around and then you have the other guy attack and then you attack. So maybe it's going to be completely different. The studio did say they're trying to revolutionize the genre. They're trying to make a Game of the Year contender with this game. I mean, who else is? But the fact that they literally said that means these guys are bold. They know what they're doing. So I'll be the first to let you know, because I'll most likely, hopefully, be in that room when we get to see first gameplay. Right. And since Respawn is also helping them, I wouldn't be surprised, Milton, if we get like maybe even though this is a trailer, even though this is a panel for the Bit Reactor turn-based game, since Respawn is there, I won't be surprised if they give us at least the title of Jedi 3, maybe a cinematic trailer if we're lucky, a teaser, like a 30-second teaser for Jedi 3 at that panel. but yeah, I mean that's what's to come. Like I said, we'll break down that panel schedule in detail, and maybe some other news will come out between now and the next time we get to it. So, but yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm very, I'm hopeful that at Celebration, like if they're going to give us a game that's upcoming and that's going to be out there, just give us something that the fans can gravitate to. That's like, I want this to be successful. People may think, oh, Milton hates the gaming department of Disney and Star Wars. I don't hate it. That like these people are good at what they do, like they're in that position. I want it to be successful. It's just like it's like other comic book movies. I want them to be successful so we can continue to get them, so we can continue to have Star Wars and Harry Potter type stuff. Because if the more they're successful, the more that this genre can be successful too. So I'm really rooting for Star Wars games to really be successful as they get released and developed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I appreciate what Lucasfilm Games is doing, because for me as a gamer that likes a lot of different genres of games, I like how every time they're coming out with a new game, it's like a different genre. Like the last game we had is Outlaws. It's the first action adventure open world Star Wars game. Then we have the Jedi's, the straight up action like Dark Souls-y, Souls like kind of like makes you think combat kind of thing. And then we have Battlefront. We have so much. And now we have a turn-based game. We have never gotten a Star Wars turn-based game like this before, even in Legends or pre-Disney. I don't even think there was a game quite like this. So this is going to be something fresh, something very interesting. It's funny because they're going to be in Japan. And they're revealing this game in Japan, and Japan is the king of these kind of games, like the Final Fantasy turn-based kind of RPG sort of thing. So it's a perfect place to reveal it. But that'll do it for this week. I know we kept it short and sweet this week, but we'll be back hopefully on my end for a full show next week. We have a lot of things to do in the next couple of weeks before Celebration. We're going to be doing a preview of Celebration itself with the panelists and all that. We're also going to be doing a preview for Andor, because I know some Andor promotional stuff has come out. I talked about it last week, but I know we didn't get a chance as a group to talk about any of the new stuff. So we'll definitely spend an entire show for the most part talking about Andor in the next couple weeks before we go on a little break for Celebration. But Milton, I want to say thank you for joining us and for that really cool moment in the beginning of the show. It was a legendary moment. Where can people find you in all your Star Wars wrestling, sports commentating, and all that stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at Milton Weber 7. That's X or Twitter, or on Instagram at Milton 7 Weber. Yeah, hit me up. On both platforms. I like to talk pop culture, Star Wars, wrestling, whatever. Right now, we are on the road to WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to be here, in about a month. So I can't. Yep. And I wish. Listen, if it was local again, I'd be going. However, it's in Vegas, so I cannot go. Watching it on those 2 days. I think it's actually Easter weekend this year. Now, as I think about it,
that's the same reason. Celebration and WrestleMania the same weekend. You're going to be busy, man.
Yeah, from April 19th and 20th. So I will be watching probably YouTube videos of the panels on Celebration, but then also watching WrestleMania both nights on Peacock. So can't wait. Wow. And it's going to be an amazing time of the year, so I love it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take off the whole weekend from work and just be like, I'm not doing anything this weekend.
Well, so we're off like that Friday, Good Friday off. So I know I'll be able to watch panels all day. Of Celebration, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so I'll give you an idea. You guys actually have it made for Celebration this year, because even though we're in Japan is going to be 13 hours ahead. So the panels will be happening at 10 a.m., which means they'll be happening 9 p.m. here. The day of or whatever. So I gotta get the timey-wimey stuff figured out. But it should be happening prime time. And they did announce without much surprise that there is going to be a live stream all weekend long celebration for everybody around the world that can't make it there. So there you go, prime time in the States.
Yeah, so I'll be watching that all weekend. So it's going to be a great time if you're a wrestling and Star Wars fan, absorb it all.
There we go. What about you, Ben? Where can people find you online if they want to chat Star Wars, Madden, NFL, and everything else you're talking?
Yeah, you can find me talking about all that, fitness, and just anything really. At Real Ben Maynard on Twitter or Instagram.
There we go. And you can follow me right here, right where you're watching, youtube.com/StarRaptor. And for my latest on gaming, skateboarding, whatever the heck I talk about, miniature games and all that, Star Wars card games, twitter.com/StarRaptor, and look on over at the Star Wars Underworld every Wednesday. Me, Matthew, and sometimes we have a guest talking about the latest in Star Wars comics. So for Milton, for Ben, for Chris, aka Star Raptor, this was Outer Rim Transmission, episode 190. Thanks for watching. May the Force be with you. End transmission.